How did it feel like watching Hitler's videos for the first time?
I think it's a bit of goosebump moments. And I know it was like terrible what happened, and I wish it wouldn't be associated with Germany.
How do your parents and grandparents view the world wars? When they talk, what memories come up?
For them, the shame feeling is much more intense, and they just shut off. Like, they don't really talk about it much.
What is autism?
It's a spectrum, and it literally means that your brain works in a different way.
Can you share an anecdote of working with a neurodivergent kid?
Yeah, so there was one situation in school, getting those big stones, literally wanted to throw it to me.
What are the top tips you would give to the parent of an autistic kid?
Acceptance is the fundament to become in an emotional, neutral state.
So, psychology and spirituality, what is the difference and similarities according to you?
Psychology literally means you put your focus on the human being. Spirituality kind of does the same thing, right?
Why do you think psychiatrists and psychologists are so averse from spirituality?
Spirituality is something that is very hard to measure or to be proved, right?
What are the thoughts of the current generation in Germany about religion?
Role of religion, it's getting less and less. There's not a lot of identification.
We have covered several topics in this podcast. I hope you enjoy the episode till the end, and make sure to subscribe to the channel so we can keep bringing such amazing episodes to you and that you don't miss out. Cheers. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Rocklaz. On today's episode we are going to Germany. Joining us is Celine. Celine, could you please introduce yourself and where are you from?
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Celine. I am 26 and I'm from Germany. And the last year I was living in India. So, yeah, I feel very blessed to be here in this beautiful country. And I'm a psychologist and also I'm a yoga teacher. And yeah, just very grateful to be on this path.
Amazing, thank you. Welcome to India. I hope you had a good time and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Germany first.
Yes.
Yeah, I had studied German in my school and my college, so I was very keen to travel to Germany and to know more about German culture and German people. Some of the things I find very interesting are the school system. I've heard the school system in Germany invites students to work along with study. So can you tell us how is it like in high school you go in start branching out in different fields right at the school itself, right?
So yeah, in Germany we call it Leistungskurse. And it's really nice because in the first years of your school you have a broaden levels of education, and then you can filter and you feel like, oh, maybe I'm very interested in math or in science or like in languages. So it helps you to live your strength and to get deeper in that. So when you are able to choose which focus you want to take, and then you actually have a lot of lessons in this subject. Like, for example, let's say you choose math or like chemistry or something like that, then you probably have 30 or 40% of your actual lessons in that subject. So you can go really, really deep and build a lot, like a strong fundamental background to use it for your like studying after, or you can find out if it's really matching with your interests.
At what age do you start selecting topics that you want to go deeper into?
Like normally it's in the 9th or the 10th grade, like because in Germany we have the federalism, so like it's not the same for the whole country. So for different parts in the country it's different. They are allowed to make their own rules. So for some countries it happens sooner, for some it happens later. But normally it's around like when you're 15, 16, something like that.
Okay.
Yes.
So from the age of 15, 16, you can specialize in topics.
Yes.
But it's the same here in India. You can choose a stream from this age.
Yes, okay. No, I didn't know.
I thought you could choose it even earlier, like in third or fourth grade.
No, then it's the same for everyone.
Mm-hmm. It's the same for everyone till the 10th grade.
Yes.
Okay. And also differs in different regions. What regions are you from?
I'm actually quite from the middle, so close to Frankfurt. The department is called Hessen.
How do you make a decision of which stream do you want to go? Or you can try it out different things and then decide.
Yeah, the good thing is you have a possibility to to join the lessons from the classes one level older than you. So you actually have the possibility to try and to see. And also, it depends a lot on the teachers. Like because some teachers they have the ability to make a subject super interesting, right? And others you're just like you feel bored and want to sleep. So for us it was also important to know which teacher is taking which class, and then it really influenced your decision.
How did you decide?
Yeah, for me, because Germany, like we have a strict system. It's like super structured. There are rules for everything. So it's actually, you can't just say, oh, I want to do arts and English. So there are like some rules for that as well. So you need to choose either one language or one like scientific subject like chemistry or biology or mathematics, and then the other part you can choose freely. But for example, if you choose, I don't know, something like sports, you can't say I just do sports and the other one like political science or something like that. So um and for me, to be honest, I was never really good in English at school. So I was thinking, okay, I can't handle English because you have to write huge essays. And I was like, no, I can't do this. And I was actually really, really good at science. And it's funny because, like, until the time we had to choose, I was terrible in chemistry. But somehow I had this gut feeling telling me, like, it could be really nice. And I chose it. And my second one was sports. So actually, it was really nice because I had the contrast, a lot of science, a lot of like sitting on your desk and using your brain, and then at the same time having a lot of movement.
What sport did you play?
Yeah, so we had four sports. We had, oh my gosh, it's a long time ago now. So like athletics, like running and jumping, I don't really know how to call it in English. Then we played volleyball. We had dancing. That was beautiful. Like couple dancing, and football,
That's where
soccer.
you learn salsa.
No, actually not. Yeah, we had just the standard dance like cha 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 and
Mhm.
waltz. Yes, it was nice.
When you are choosing this specialization, I was also told that
Mm-hmm.
you can start working in the industry right there from
Mm.
the school. Is that true?
Like, not really. It's not like you get the support or something. Like, it's you can do internships, and we have to do internships, but you can do it anywhere. So,
Internship during the academic year or in the breaks?
no, in between. So, for example, let's say like 2 weeks ahead of the
Hmm.
holidays, then you just have your internship, and then you have to write an essay about it. So,
Hmm.
it's part of the school program.
So it's the same in India, but they don't enforce internships. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can do it if you want, or it's
Mm-hmm.
up to you. Do
Ah,
whatever you
okay.
want.
Yeah. No, for us, it was a duty.
Hmm.
And it was nice,
That's amazing.
because in that age you don't take it too seriously. You're a bit more chilled, so you can enjoy it more.
Hmm. Talking about studies and school, I was very curious to know what do German students learn about history in school?
Yeah, we learn a lot and we repeat it as well. And I think for most of the people, it's the most boring subject. And it's we talk about all like the past probably 1 to 300 years. So we start like with the French Revolution, then we move on. We talk about the First World War, the Second World War, especially the second one, because I mean, Germany has a plays a huge role in
Mhm.
it. So, of course, we talk about that as well.
So what do the German students learn about Second World War?
I think the same than everyone else does, just like how did it start? Like or like who did initiate it, how was the process itself, what happened, and of course the roles of Germany, of Hitler, of all the Nazis and everyone. So I think in a complete transparent way.
Hmm.
Yes.
So the information is same, what everybody learns. But how does it feel like my own country was doing this? What emotions do you get when you hear about World War as a German
Yes.
student?
Yes, I think like it's decreasing with every generation, but of course there is some feeling of shame connected to it. But also I feel like it's it's possible to make a like, you know, to put a border between like the time then and people who were actually responsible, and it's more something we see like we can learn of, because you know every country there are things happening that are not really like good, or like that, you know, shouldn't be there. So, and I know it was like terrible what happened, and I wish it wouldn't be associated with Germany. But on the other hand, it's like, you know, it's not because of Germany or like it's because we're bad people or something. It was just like people who were responsible for all the traumas and the abusement and everything. They were Germans, but it's not like representative for German culture or
Hmm.
something. And in general, like these, you know, movement to the like the right side of politic, it's still an issue, but it's not only an issue in Germany, it's like in Europe as well. And it's like, yeah, it's, I think it's more a human thing and not a German thing.
Hmm.
So I can distance myself from that, and I can also learn from that and maybe help other people from other countries to get rid of any prejudices.
How do your parents and grandparents view the world wars? When they talk, what memories come up?
Yeah, you know, so my grandma, she's nearly 100. So she actually she like was there and was like already in her teenager years. So she has a very, very good memory, and I feel like her generation, they are very traumatized, because just not because of the situation itself, but also because of the whole war thing. So I think for them the shame feeling is much more intense, and they shut off, like they don't really talk about it much. It's just, I think they try to separate them from their own identity, because the suffering was just so hard, and then they try to move on after finally being out of this time. And to be honest, I think my parents, like, it's more similar to me, you know, they don't really have any emotions with that because they haven't been alive. And I think the more like the bigger issue is for all the generations of like my parents' age. So like let's say people between 50, 60, something about that. They have like this Second World War generation trauma, because you know their parents, they are emotionally very low, because they are so traumatized from all the war experiences, and they lost a lot of their um, ability for showing empathy, warmness. So they raise their kids like more in a cool setting, more like with not really teaching them how to show emotions. So for the children, they, I think it has been hard to grow up in a setting like that. So like people like my parents, they are really suffering from that. Um, I think this is the bigger issue.
Suffering from that and suppressing the emotions.
Yes, suppressing emotions and not being really capable of dealing with that in a functional way.
But you can still disassociate with that, right?
Yes, sure. Yes, it's also, you know, I talk about that with my parents, and I feel like especially, you know, there is a huge gap when you see the generation of my parents and then and our generation. It's like, you know, we get supported so much, like after college, like go to another country,
explore.
like so much support and so much also of emotional support. And I think this is exactly what they didn't get. So that's why they try to give it even more to their children.
What are the conversations like with your grandmother? What memories does she bring up?
Like she's very narrowed in her emotional capacity. So her, like if she tells stories, they are not very vivid. Like she's not really laughing a lot, or she's not really showing a lot of emotions. It feels all like, she's actually really, really negative in her attitude. But it's hard to say because there are also personality characteristics and also just your life story that makes you to the person you are. So I wouldn't say it's just because of the war, or the actually she lived during the 2 world wars, so it was a lot for her. And for example, my other grandma, like she is younger, so I think it's easier for her because she was very young during the Second World War. But she's like super positive and optimistic, and she actually shows a lot of love, so it's totally different.
There's something I've observed. Japan and Germany, both who suffered the most out of these wars, turned around and became the biggest economies by GDP. What do you think contributes to that? How did they get the bounce back? Germany specifically, it's known for technology. What do you observe in the society there that makes them so good at technology and so productive?
Yes, I think like our country or also Japan, they experienced this immense feeling of failure, a very, very tough time. And what should you do about it? Like you can stay maybe in the role of being a victim or something, but you can also use that as a chance to like really grow. And I think it is also part, like in both of the countries, that we have this very like we very disciplined, and like actually we want to make something of our country, of our resources. So I think we already, like as a culture, carried the resources within us. And then after experiencing this immense failure, like everyone was so motivated. Like, we started with nothing. So actually, there was, I think, a very high motivation to get something done. And then so everyone was participating and starting to restructure everything, and then probably also realizing that it can be successful. So I think this is a reason, like for example, like you often say people who are like more on the poor level, that they are the most hardworking people, right? Because they actually know how it feels to have nothing, so they put a lot of effort.
There's another interesting thing about Germany when comparing to India is the industries there are not concentrated only in the bigger cities. Even the smaller towns have got famous world renowned businesses and factories. Do you observe that? And how is it like living even in the smaller towns?
Yeah, I think the industries are more like, or a lot on the like country sides. And yeah, to be honest, I grew up in a smaller village, and it's it's amazing because we have the luck to like be close to the bigger cities. So I feel like um or at least it's a development, like, you know, um because for some smaller villages, they are like very far away, and they don't have the best, like, um how do you say, the best system to like go for food shopping or have a good like medical care. So um I think this is like the infrastructure is something we try to work on, that like those places are connected more to the cities, or like, not sure if this is what you meant with your question.
Let me rephrase it.
Yes.
So this, like, there are some knife manufacturers or Rolls Royce or some companies. They're not necessarily located within the cities,
Yes.
in the main cities like Berlin and Frankfurt. I don't know where they are, but
Mhm.
there are a lot of small family run businesses which are like best in the world, which focus only on their one specific specialized product.
Mhm.
Because of that, do you get more opportunities in the smaller towns and villages, or do you always aspire to go to the bigger cities?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it creates a lot of working space, like working places for people who live on the countryside. So I think actually, so in general, a lot of people like living more in the villages, they have sort of these jobs where they work in a fabricy,
Enough?
in a fabric.
Fabric,
Fabric.
textile.
Yes, text.
Hmm.
So like, so I think this is a good thing about it, that like, not all the jobs are like located in the city.
Let's do something fun. I would like you to close your eyes.
Mhm.
Think of your favorite memory and share with us in German.
Okay, give me 30 seconds. Meine Lieblingserinnerung ist, als ich in Baden-Baden in einem Museum war, wo eine Fischausstellung gewesen ist von Was ist was. Und mit echten Aquarien und wir ganz viele Fische gesehen haben. Und das war total schön. Ich habe da noch sehr lebendige Erinnerungen dran.
Could you please translate that in English now?
No. You can do that yourself. You learned German at school, right?
It's not as fluent. I didn't have practice.
Yeah, no, I was telling, so there was that one moment as a child where I went with my parents to a very nice museum of like fishes and like real fishes and very nice like sea animals, and I don't know why, but it feels very intense, and I feel like I always have this connection to the water, so I was, and like German sea is not really that nice, so it was, yeah, it was beautiful.
Hmm.
And it came to my mind. I don't know why. I have a lot of beautiful memories.
So this segment of the podcast is because we like to know the sound of different languages around the world.
Mm,
So we
okay.
have done 40, 45 countries so far.
Yes.
So we have a bite of all the languages.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Nice.
nice to hear the sounds.
Yeah. How does it sound? I can imagine it sounds like very, hard. German.
Have you heard Hitler's speech on YouTube?
Yeah, like we watched some, like some videos of that also in German history classes at school.
How did it feel like watching Hitler's videos for the first time?
Yes, like I think it's a bit of goosebump moments, because it's like a robot. There's no emotions, no facial expression. It's so much force in his voice. And then also seeing all the people who are actually like just following him without reflecting or questioning anything. It's a bit terrifying, yes, definitely.
I had, when we first heard Hitler's video, because of all the biases we have about Hitler, it feels like he's shouting at people or scolding them or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I heard an English version of his same speech, and it felt like any political leader would do to inspire people.
Mm.
Like, I've done this for you, now it's time for you to do this and stand with me in the time of this hour of this country
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So, even in the comments, it was like if you had been a German listening to his speech that time, even you would have got inspired. Do you agree, disagree?
No, but I think it's because there's like this one part of you that knew what he did and what's behind all that, so you're not even allow yourself to even think like that.
Hmm.
I'm sure there are a lot of people also now who like wish that all his goals would be like continued, and who are like impressed by these sort of convincing action.
So that completes the language part. What are some fun things to do in Germany?
I mean, it depends what you like. There, like, I think what like fun things we you can go hiking, you can like we have beautiful nature, you can ride the bike, you can like walk, you can run, you can like we have a really nice like cultural places where you can go to very nice museums, or like I love the German coffee culture in some cities, like beautiful coffee shops. And also, especially in the summer, like when everyone is just chilling outside in the parks, at the lakes.
So, what are the best places to visit? Germany.
So I feel like a lot of people they go to Berlin or Munich. It's interesting. And of course, both of them are beautiful. And Berlin is like, I think Berlin is interested because it's very diverse. And Berlin is not representative for German at all. It's like a capital city. It's like a metropolitan city. So it is super nice. The vibe there is amazing. You have, as I said, a huge diversity. It's very interesting. But also, I would definitely recommend to go to some southern parts, like Bavaria or like Baden-Württemberg. So there you have like a lot of mountains, beautiful nature, beautiful lakes. The people there are very lovely. It's definitely worth it to go there, and also like to see some more of the smaller cities that have a beautiful old towns, like very very old buildings. This is, I think, also popular for Europe or like Germany. So for example, Freiburg or um Erfurt. um Also, Bamberg is a beautiful city. It's called like sometimes small Venice because you have a lot of like little rivers flowing through the city. It's very beautiful.
And what is the best time to visit Germany?
I would say always the summertime, when you maybe have higher chances of not like this foggy, rainy, cold weather. But to be honest, like December is also beautiful in the pre-Christmas time. Like when we have all the Christmas markets, we have the lightings everywhere. So every city, like in December, they have all the lights around the city. So it's very cozy and beautiful.
What are your favorite festivals from Germany?
Oh, yeah, we have some really nice music festivals, and I really like rock music. So I like the rock festivals. Like there was one Rock am Park or Southside, where you have more like the indie bands, the rock bands. This is, yeah.
What are your favorite artists?
German artists? Helene Fischer. No, I'm joking. She's like, in Germany we have the Schlager. I think this is like German like cultural music, and I think it's more for the generations of my grandparents, and it's really funny. Leoniden I really like. It's a rock band. Yes.
One German movie that everyone must watch.
Traumfrauen. It's a girly movie. It's nice.
I've seen one German movie.
Which one?
Run Lola Run.
Oh, yeah. I never watched it, but I know it. Yes.
It's quite
Funny.
fun.
You watched it in school?
I guess, yes.
Oh.
During that time, going in the past and
Mm.
trying to restart.
Yes, yes.
What are some fun facts about Germany?
I think you like the fun facts is like, that people are like so much in their mind and so much focused on all these like rules and structure, and like actually we really need it. We try to be spontaneous, but we're actually very dependent on these structures, and we like we take things very seriously. Like if someone tells, okay, yeah, let's catch up next week at in the afternoon, and you like in your brain you're already registered in your mental calendar, and like we love distance. So when we have public support, normally you try to keep the seat next to you empty and put your bag on it. It's like when we have a queue in front of like the supermarket, um in the supermarket there's like always a lot of distance between everyone. So yes, I think we're a cute culture, but from the outside we all seem to be very like structured and strict, but it's not like that for everyone.
What are some wedding rituals that you see only in Germany?
So one thing, it's called the Polterabend. So it happens in advance. And what you do, like you invite all your friends. It's like a bit like a before party. And then you destroy a lot of like plates and cups and everything to, like you say, that brings luck to the married couple. And also what is really funny, it's called Junggesellenabschied. So the girl side and the male side, like independent from each other, they meet with like all their friends, and then they, like for example, girls, like the bride, she's dressing like a princess or something, and then they walk around the cities and they like try to sell stupid things for like just a little, like super cheap prices. And also often they drink a lot of alcohol while doing that, and they just, like, listen to some very loud music. And I think it's about, like, that the wife, or like the man or the woman or whoever, they can embrace like their single side and just, be childish and don't worry about anything before like committing to a marriage.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. And normally, like, when you see those groups, and like you can see those groups from like 200 meters distance because they are so obvious. Like,
Wearing an outlandish costume and trying to sell.
yes, yes.
What are the thoughts of the current generation in Germany about religion?
Yeah, I think the role of religion, it's getting less and less. So there's not a lot of identification. And also I feel like a bit there's the stigma, like being religious is awkward or it's not cool. So I think a way of religion, what is becoming more trendy, is like the spiritual path in general, but not connected to any religion itself.
Let's talk about psychology now. What were your majors when studying psychology?
Yes, so like we have the system in Germany, you have your bachelor first and then the master. And bachelor, it's 3 years, and my bachelor was like everything. Like seriously, sometimes I thought like I'm studying everything. So um and then in the master, I chose to like focus on my interests, and I was like really interested in all the like clinical psychology and the neuropsychology. So um yeah, so in my master, these were like my majors, and I was always interested in psychology for children and teenagers, and also like everything that has to do something with our brain, um and like eating behavior, sleep. um these were like the major, yes, topics.
What is neurodiversity?
Yes, I think it's becoming more trendy in our time now, and especially for like generations of our parents or like even grandparents, it's like kind of a unknown word. And like it actually means, so our brains, like they all work in different ways. And I mean, neuro, it's like how is the brain working, how are our neurons connected, how do they fire when they process information. And then diversity, so it means like when you see the majority of the people, like the brain functions in a similar way. Of course everyone has like some specialties and it's different, but then there's like a group of people, and their brains work in a different way than the majority. So this is why the brain is working in a diverse way. So that's why we call it neurodiversity. And normally you say like people on the autism spectrum or with ADHD, like their brains are working in a different way, like in a different pattern. And this is why their brain is working in a diverse way.
Why should there be awareness about neurodiversity and the implications it has?
Yes, it's I like I can't stress how important it is, because like it I mean, our brain, it's like responsible for everything, like how we perceive information, how we filter information, how like it controls our whole nervous system, everything. So because people think the majority is perceiving information in this way, is interpreting things, behaving in a certain way. This is how everyone needs to be, and everyone will probably understand things. But this is not true. So you actually expect everyone to be in the same way. But for like neurodivergent people, it's not possible. And they really struggle because they think something is wrong with them, and all their lives they try to adapt, they try to adjust to the system around them, to the majority. And because people don't know, always reflect them, something is wrong with you. And for example, especially in the school system, it can be really hard for them because they in the way subjects are taught, they can't receive the information, they can't gain knowledge, and then the teachers think they might be like stupid, so they create this self-image. And actually a lot of neurodivergent people, they are brilliant, and all their talents are not seen because just of the lack of knowledge about it.
Einstein, another famous German, he was called, I think, dumb in school.
Yes, yes, exactly. Because you know, the connection of the different parts of the brain can be different. So that's why information are like proceeded in a different way. And on the one hand, maybe this makes it very difficult to, let's say, if someone says like, write an essay about this, and it's just super, super hard for that person because maybe it has like an infinite amount of thoughts about that and then can't choose the most important things and create a structure or whatever. But at the same time, this person is like brilliant in creating a super, like, poem way or something where they can like just use their own way of writing without any like structure how it should be. So yeah, that's why they can be brilliant, and it can't be seen.
What do you tell the parents of kids who think that they're having difficulty in studying?
So first of all, I would always tell like, accept your child as an individual, as an unique being that has a lot of potential, and put the awareness on the potentials and try to support them, and not try to make your child like being one of the majority children. So, and then actually like try to look deeper and find out, okay, what is the way that my child is perceiving this world, and how can I contribute, like telling him and teaching him or her that there might be also different ways in perceiving the world, but there is no right or wrong. And as I said, like focusing on the strength and try how you can maybe then like, yeah, focus on the strength, and because of that, like not hide the weakness, but like work on that as well, so that the stigma is not on being wrong.
Do you think one should focus on their strengths only and specialize in the strengths, or work on everything and try to improve the weaknesses?
Yes, I mean, I am not a fan of like closing your eyes of things you don't want to be there or things you don't like. And it's also important to work on that, or at least to like find a way that these weaknesses are not becoming any like burdens or limitations, or like reasons maybe why you can't make friends or why you can't graduate, like
Can't?
graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So, and but also see like, what can I expect? I mean, for example, you can't tell a fish like climb up that tree, right? So it's not necessary, and like not logical at all to spend your energy teaching the fish how to climb a tree. So you have to see what is possible, what can be improved, and also what is just like, okay, where you can just let go. And
A fish cannot be expected to climb a tree, but in our education system, everybody has to learn these things.
that's what I said. You have the system and you expect everyone to do the essential steps to be part of that system. And if you're not able to, then you get the stigma of being like not good enough. But that's bullshit.
What can be done
Sorry.
in that situation?
Yes, it needs a lot of education, and I feel sorry for a lot of parents because I think they really struggle because they push so hard for their children to like try to open other people's like or teachers' eyes to transfer the perspective of their children, and we need more education, more knowledge about it, and then hopefully increasing the toleration and like the help of the system to make it more like inclusive.
In India, there's a lot of pressure, even on parents and children, to score well in the exams, to get better grades so that you can get a better college and life is better and so on. And they are hyper competitive. They'll go to school, then they'll go even for classes after the school. How is it in Germany?
Yes, I think it is similar in a way because of course like as a parent you want your child to be successful. You want your child to be able to take care of themselves. So I think also parents like put their effort in, but like I mean I what I perceived in India and when I compare, I feel the pressure here is much higher. I feel like the focus is on being successful and sometimes even putting your health, your happiness behind that because you have this view of if you're successful, you have everything, then you don't need anything anymore because you will be happy. And in Germany, I mean, this point of view is there, of course, as well, but in a lesser degree because also like I feel parents become much more tolerant and like really embrace their children's needs and wishes. So and also it really depends on the family. They are both.
What are the aspirations of students when growing up? Are they like, I want to get good grades so that I can get in a good college, or this is what I want and I'm going to give full all of my time in studying this? Or are they like more chill, trying out different things and laid back?
Mhm. It's diverse, you know. There are a lot of students like super ambitious, full of discipline and like want to be the best. And yes, I think in general that's a thing in Germany. Like people really want to be the best, want to be successful. And it's not only the parents pushing, it's coming from the inside. Because, I mean, you always compare with people around you. And if a lot of people around you are like very disciplined and like intelligent and take a lot of effort, of course you feel like I have to do the same. But also, there are a lot of people like being super chill and actually also being super lost, you know? I think it's, we have it all in our society.
What is autism?
Yes, so when we stay with the neurodiversity part, so autism is also just, it's a spectrum. So it is like, it's not like there's not the typical autistic person, and it literally means that your brain works in a different way. So, for example, let's say you have an autistic person and someone is telling them your t-shirt looks really nice. And normally for people like there are some like neuro logical reactions happening in the brain, they understand this is a compliment. But people with autism the brain, like different brain areas, are connected in a different way. So, for example, for them, this information could be perceived in a total different way, or like they don't understand, for example, what the person wants. So all these like social rules, for example, someone is smiling to you, this means they like you, or someone is asking for your help or whatever, like what children normally learn intuitively without any effort, for people or like children on the autism spectrum, they don't. Like they like so the major um disability is in all the social functions, in emotions, in like on the one hand dealing with your own emotions, but also like perceiving and interpreting other emotions. So there's this psychological construct, it's called theory of mind. So this is the main thing that is disturbed in autistic people. They are not able to perceive the perspectives of other people. So there's like this one experiment where you say like, okay, I hope it's not too complicated. It's like a metaphor. So you have a family and you have two siblings. And the girl, so you tell the girl, your brother is hiding the chocolate in the cupboard. And then he goes away because he doesn't want anyone else to eat the chocolate. So you tell the story to a child, and then you ask like in which cupboard is the chocolate, and then what we tell is like, okay, the boy, like he hid the chocolate, but then the mother put the chocolate in the other cupboard again, but the boy doesn't know. He didn't see that. And then you ask the child, where does the boy think the chocolate is? And then the child is saying, yes, in the cupboard where the mom put it, because the child can't imagine that the boy doesn't know because he didn't see. So yeah, maybe it's a bit complicated, but it's just like, for example, for me, this book is read. So I expect for everyone else, this book has to be read. But as an autistic person, you can't see that it might be totally different for another person.
People might not have read it.
Yes, and this is the construct of theory of mind.
Mhm.
Like being unable to know that other people can have a total different perspective about an object, a situation. You don't understand as an autistic person.
But isn't that a regular thing? Many times, even regular people don't understand perspective, or they might mix things up.
Yes, sure. I mean, also this is like a inter-individual characteristics. Like for some people, they are super empathetic and they like can perceive other people's emotions very well, and for others, they struggle like crazy. But for an autistic person, it's literally like, for example, yeah, I try to find a good example, like for example, as a child in school, and let's say the teacher, or let's say another yes. So let's say the person is super intelligent, okay, and you have a subject, like a topic and math subject, and for the autistic children, it's super easy, and the whole class, it's struggling because it's actually a very difficult topic, but the child cannot understand that the others are on a different brain level, and for them it's actually difficult. So he really thinks they are all super dumb, and like you can explain to him 500 times or to her, but they won't understand because they are not able to create this image in their mind that another child, or like for them it's normal to struggle with that topic because they are just like more intelligent.
What are the struggles that an autistic kid and their parents face?
It's like finding your place in society. And society starts in the kindergarten, it starts in the school. It's like, you know, they they actually want to belong, but at the same time, and like, children can be super mean. So already other children perceive that person is different. Maybe because, like, for example, you tell a joke and the autistic child doesn't understand, so he's or they are not laughing. And then children start to wonder, like, okay, what's going on with that kid? Or like some autistic children are very aggressive, so people or like children keep distant. And so they already become like the reflection from the other children. Something is wrong with you. We don't want to play with you. So they feel as an outsider. And and especially as a children creating those images, they get stored very deep in your self-image. So as an adult, they still feel that, like, I'm an outsider, I don't belong here. Yeah, it depends. As I said, it's in spectrum. So there are some people, they can like actually hide it very well. They are very intelligent. They can learn all the rules and they just adjust easily. But for others, they are like not really able to be in this society.
What are the top tips you would give to the parent of an autistic kid?
Acceptance, and using this acceptance as a state of seeing the strength and the potential in your child, seeing its uniqueness, and not seeing it as being different or weird. Because, one thing is, like, often autistic children, they don't really bond with their parents in this emotional way. Not always, it's different, but often it happens they are not really cuddling their parents, or they are not really telling their parents, like, oh, mom, I love you. So it can be very challenging for the parents as well. And also, it can be very exhausting for the parents. So I think it is acceptance is the fundament to become in a emotional neutral state where you can focus on, like, helping your child becoming a part and using the uniqueness, and at the same time also taking care of yourself as a parent. Because yeah, it will be exhausting, because you probably have to see a lot of like teachers and do therapy and everything, so it's time consuming.
Do these autistic kids grow better in a personalized homeschooling environment or in a school with friends and other individuals?
Yeah, I think you can't generalize that, because I mean, of course, when they have like a setting where like similar people stay together, and like teachers are like taught to, see their strength, and to to improve them and to work on them, then it 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 can be empowering for the children, and of course they will probably increase their strength and everything. But at the same time, all the other sides, like this, for example, the social legs, they won't really be improved, right? So it's a I think it also it depends on the child, because so it is nice to be in a normal school and to see, like, you can participate and you can find some friends. And I think a lot of parents, they wish for the children to take the normal path, and it can work, and then it can be beautiful. But if it's too struggling for everyone, then it can disturb the class, it can disturb the teachers, and the child can create a completely wrong self-image, and then it can be very like traumatizing for everyone. So then you should see when is the time maybe to decide for your child, okay, we change now to a like specialized school that is specialized for autistic children. And
First of all, what did you do in your master's?
yes, you mean like which subjects or like seminars?
You mentioned that you have got some hands on experience of working with neurodivergent kids. What was it like? What was it like to work with neurodivergent kids?
So yes, it was amazing, and it like I never experienced. I feel like after 1 week I learned more than like in 3 years of studying, because it was like practical. And what I was doing, so I was working with two autistic boys. One went to school, the other one went to the kindergarten. And in Germany, we have this principle, like it's called that children with especially autism, they can get help, like someone joining them in the kindergarten or in the school and helping them like as a like yeah, as someone to communicate for them or to see what do they need, or like to help them being integrated in the class and in the group of the kids in the kindergarten. So yeah, to help them managing it. And yes, it was amazing because you get to know a complete different perspective of how to see things. And it was also challenging a lot because like you give so much of yourself, but you don't really get so much back because they never say thank you or like, oh, I like you, or you're so cool or something like that, because they just can't. They might feel it, and for example, the one kid, he was like hitting me very often. And actually I realized when he's hitting me, there is something in this behavior telling me I really like you
Oh,
and I feel safe with you. So I felt like you have a code and you have to try to solve this code, and then it's like it makes so much sense and it's actually beautiful and it gives you a lot.
can you share an anecdote of working with a neurodivergent kid?
Yeah, so there was one situation in school. They got an exam back, and the child he was super, super good in school, and he got like for him a bad grade. And he got so angry, like he started like throwing around the chairs. He was crying and screaming. He started hitting everyone, and like I tried to get him out of the classroom that he was not like hurting the other kids, and then he started like getting those big stones outside the classroom, and he like literally wanted to throw it to me. And I was in this moment, I was like, oh my gosh, help, I don't know what to do, because like he was so angry. And this is like the typical meltdown. It was too much to handle his own emotions, and it can be actually dangerous for other people. So that was the first time I felt anxious. Yeah.
How did it end? How did you deal with it?
Yes, I managed to calm him down. Like there are a lot of techniques like to help them first let go their emotions, like to really express them, and then also to distract them. Like just suddenly say, "Okay, catch me," and then you run, and then maybe like the child just he forgot, and then he starts running behind you, or like getting a ball and trying to play with the ball, or just something to make them forget that, and to make them move so that they can get rid of all these tension in the body. You have to be very creative. Yeah.
People who are not good at something are very good at some other things, like extremely well, like we talk about Elon Musk or Einstein. They're also on a spectrum of autism. In your example, have you figured that this child is good at this? Let us promote him or her in that. And how did you figure that out?
Yeah. there was not much skill needed to figure that out because like he was 9 or he's 9, and on his brain level like he was on the stage of a 13, 14 years old. So he was like, for example, in mathematics, like this was his like huge talent. He was like, he was so bored in the class and he was always doing calculations and everything. Like he was in the 4th grade and he was doing all the calculation that we learned in the 8th or 9th grade. It was crazy. Like, and also he could remember like everything. He knew all the facts about global warming, about how things work, about everything, about geographics. Yeah, he was like a dictionary. I could ask him anything, like a Google machine. It's crazy.
That sounds so much like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I read his biography and same things he was also good at.
Yes. But also there is it's a spectrum. There are a lot of people who are like how do you say, like on the very lower level of the intelligence spectrum. So some of them are not even able to really talk or to like express themselves. So
So what are the things they are good at? Somebody who has lesser of maths and analytical and memory things. What are these guys good at?
you can't generalize. It's different. As I said, like, in Germany, we say if you know one autistic person, you know one. Because, like, you can't compare. That's so unique. And maybe, like, they are very creative or, like, also, so they are often very, very sensitive. So they can, like, for example, they can perceive things or see things that for us are not really like our brain just filters them out. For example, like the light, we see maybe the light is on, but they literally see the waves of the light. Or like they can hear if someone is whispering in the end of the room, no one will hear it. They can tell you the exact conversation because they were able to listen. So a lot of things like that.
These are like superpowers from the superhero movies.
It is, yeah, exactly.
Dyslexia and autism. How would you compare them? Are dyslexic people also, can they also be autistic?
Yes, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Like there is no rule.
What is dyslexia?
So it's like you're not really able to spell or to read. Like for your brain, it's just very hard to connect the letters. So it is just, there like we have our brain is so complex and there are different parts that are maybe working together. But this cooperation is just disturbed in a way so that the information of like those letters together, like it gives that word, it's not really processed. So for them it's really hard to learn how to read.
And how to spell?
Spell. Yeah.
I think I had issue with that because there are words that sound same but the spelling is completely different. P can be spelled as PY or PIE also, right? Or PI.
Yeah. And then also, the different central organs come together, for example, and maybe for them when they hear it, they can't really differentiate between the sound of a B or a P, and then they get confused quickly. Or like it's also connected to the looking of the letters. So it's, yeah.
Clinical psychology. What happens in clinical psychology?
Yes, it's like the medical part of psychology. It's like all the mental disorders, how they develop, what are like the causes of developing a mental disorder, what is the treatment looking like, what is the like how often do they happen in women, in men, all these things. Yeah.
What is the difference between psychiatric treatment and psychological treatment?
Replace psychological treatment with psychotherapy, because this is also something I think not so many people know about it, because psychiatry, it's actually including the real medical aspect, so medication, pharmacy. And as a psychologist, you're not allowed to give someone any medication. So psychiatry is like the doctor side. So like people studying medicine, they can also focus on the psychological aspects and become a psychiatrist. But as a psychiatrist, you prescribe the medication. For example, let's say a depressed person, and so like with a major depression, who is not able to like go out of their bed anymore, and they see a psychiatrist and they get like some medicine for that actually helps to stabilize the biochemical balance in the brain, like serotonin, for example. So the typical antidepressant medicine. But that's it. But in general, like if you're depressed, there's so much more things you need to do, you need to work on. And this is like all the things that a psychotherapist is doing. So, what often happens when you go to see a psychotherapist, like they use a lot of tools and things to like improve the depression. And at the same time, they cooperate with a psychiatrist to also work on a biochemical level. And it's a bit like, you, let's say, you have a chronic headache because you don't drink enough water, and you get headache every 2 days, and then you're just starting to take any like painkillers, but you never really cure the source, you never really start drinking more water. And so just taking medicine and going to a psychiatrist, it's more like taking care of the symptoms.
What is the focus in psychotherapy?
Yes, the focus is to make the person or like to help the person to take responsibility for themselves and finding out more about themselves, to being able to find a way back into a like happy life, like to to improve dealing with their issues, with their emotions, anything they are worried about. So, and it's like giving them the skills, giving them the knowledge in an interactive way. It's not like, oh, you should do that and I see this. It's more like helping them to become their own like therapist.
What does a psychotherapist do? Is it just like conversations? Because you could have with friends as well.
I mean, yeah, conversations are definitely like the core element of psychotherapy, but there's a lot of like tools. And maybe you should start like saying psychotherapy, there are different schools of psychotherapy existing. So there is not the one psychotherapy. And we have this very old traditional part from like Sigmund Freud. I think he's a very common name in
Sigmund Freud is the
psychology.
first person who comes to mind when somebody
Yeah.
studies or says psychotherapy.
And this is like called the psychoanalysis, or like it's the deeper part of psychotherapy, where you like put a lot of focus on the childhood, on the causes of all the symptoms, and all like you put a lot of attention on the past. And then we have the cognitive behavioral therapy. This is like a more modern therapy school, where you say like, okay, you have learned to behave and to think in a certain way that actually makes you feeling sick, makes you feeling like, or like these symptoms. So it's like relearning So you have a lot of like tools where you try to change your behavior, you change your thoughts, like beliefs, for example. They try to work a lot of like which beliefs did you integrate and how can we transform them. And then also there's a third one, it's called systemic therapy, where you include the whole system. So like the family, maybe the teachers, the friends, the like anyone who is close to the person. Um, so also it depends on that. And like psychoanalysis, you have a lot of talking. It's this classical thing, the patient is lying on the couch and is just talking, talking, talking. While in cognitive behavioral therapy, you also like you go on walks, you do a lot of like mindfulness actions. It's yeah, there are so many tools like group therapy, group sessions, games, anything. And systemic therapy, it's like very flexible. So you do a lot of creative things as well, like you build sculptures of the family, um you play like a role play about your family. You do a lot of these things.
What tools of psychotherapy do you like personally?
Yes. So I feel because you know the problems you have because of a mental disorder, mental issues, they disturb you now, right? They um yeah, they disturb like going after your job, taking care of your life. So I think it's important to start in the now and to see like how can I help the person to deal with the now um, related to their patterns of thoughts, patterns of behavior. For example, let's say you have a depressed person and you have this like typical thoughts like I'm not good enough, I'm not capable of taking care of myself, I'm a loser, like, and they just have problems getting out of their bed, like becoming motivated. So then you can like try to engage them to increase their level of action. And let's say, okay, we create a plan like every day you get up at 8 and you do this and that, and like, create a plan together to increase their activation level, and then give them like some rewards, like, okay, if you try to manage that for like 1 week, then I don't know, like you're in the next level or something like that. And really work on the thought level, because I think our thoughts make us sick because we are not really aware of our thoughts and we believe them. We do not separate from our thoughts, and this is the cause for misery. And to open up the perspective of what thoughts do you actually think and how do they influence your emotions and behavior. So, yeah, that's what I think is very powerful.
As you're speaking about all the aspects in psychotherapy, it's so similar to spirituality and what we are learning through Art of Living and the teachings in all the Vedantas and scriptures in India. I think it's very psychological. It's not just about artis or some rituals. It talks about mind, right? So, psychology and spirituality, what is the difference and similarities according to you?
Yeah, I mean, psychology literally means you you put your focus on the human being. How is the human being functioning? How is the human being thinking, acting, feeling, and why? And I mean, spirituality kind of does the same thing, right? It's like yeah, perceiving what happens with the mind, what happens with the emotions. How can we deal with emotions? How can we bring our mind centered? So, and I think actually there is a huge similarity, and it's just about like how we label it might be different. and what conclusions we take out of it.
For example,
In psychology and psychotherapy, um, you probably you focus more on the scientific background. Like you say, okay, science says, you should do this or that to improve your mental state. It's like this path of being spiritual is not really supported that much yet. So, but so it's not seen that some things are actually the same. Like, for example, including mindful tools in a therapy session. And maybe you say this is working because we help the person to calm down their nervous system, and like you explain it more on a scientific background, where in the spirituality you would do exactly the same, but you just say like you separate your identity as a me and resolve in just being in yourself.
science is a pretty recent term, right? 100, 200 years ago. But I'm talking about Indian spirituality and Patanjali Yoga Sutra and scriptures like that. They are also pretty scientific in a way, if you see, because it's all by self introspection and observation of people around. And I just love the sutras that I mentioned. They just like hit the nail with all the points, and it gives so much liberation and thoughts. Like your locks open up when you read that. What was your experience of when you started reading these Indian spiritual books and knowledge?
Yes, I had this wow effect. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so, it's so true, it's so wise. And it's exactly the same what we learn, but in such an ancient and original way. Because I feel like all these, you know, approaches right now to make scientific proofs, or like, yeah, to master the mind, they are just different expressions of the same thing, like the core thing that is taught by all the sutras, you know and people just don't know about it, because I mean, maybe in India it's more common because it's part of your culture, of your like Indian philosophy, but in other countries, like, not people do not really know about the sutras, so it's.
Even in India, I would have never known about Patanjali or sutras before joining with Art of Living or knowing from it. Uh, Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar is doing a great job reviving that knowledge, because we are also growing up watching television, which is very Western influence and specifically American. For us, religion and spirituality is just like doing puja or what we have seen our mothers growing and doing. But there's so much more to it if you start reading it in a way, doing some research on why what is meant what. It takes you in many rabbit holes and it like relaxes your mind, even just the knowledge. I'm not even talking about the practices.
Yes. And I mean, also like in yoga, the knowledge, it's one path to 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 reach liberation. So knowledge is incredibly powerful.
Why do you think psychiatrists and psychologists are so averse from spirituality?
Yes, I think, it's like in general, people want proof, to be convinced that something is working. And spirituality, it's something that is very hard to measure or to be proved, right? It's like when you say you meditate, or like you in meditation um you separate yourself from all the ego and the voice. Like, how do you measure that? I mean, we say like you abide in the nature of the seer, in yourself. But what is the self? Like, science can't say what is the self yet. It's very hard to make it like, something you can hold on to. And so there's a bit of a fundament missing, for people who are more on this like logical side, of people who are like, a lot of psychologists, a lot of psychiatrists, I mean, that's what they studied. That's what their studies are like focused on. So it's hard to maybe believe, because when you don't, I think it's something you have to experience to be convinced by the power of spirituality. And I know there's like a huge movement of spiritual science, but still it's more difficult to to actually give proof.
We might not be able to prove the mind and the consciousness. Of course, they have written about that also. Sutras are there on that also. But we can measure the outcomes, right? People who have been recovered from this, who have come out of this, thousands and millions of people. It's working, right?
But like, this is the thing about science. If you go, like, I think, for n- people in general, science is like, okay, you meditate 1 week and we measure, like, how happy are you before and after. And then after the week, you say you're happier and you say, wow, meditation is amazing. People become more happy. But science is incredibly complex. You're like, in this example, you're like, okay, but maybe in this week the sun was shining much more, and something happened in the person's life that actually increased their happiness. So how can you say it's actually because of meditation? So there are a lot of influences, external and also internal influences, that actually influence the effects, the measurements. And that's what science like tries to control. And especially science with human beings, it's very hard to control these things, right? They're like so many influences. Maybe the moment you asked the person about the happiness, they were like super hungry and they had a very shitty day, and they say like, no, I'm not happy at all, but actually they have been super super happy, and it was just this little moment. So there's so many possibilities of biases happening. And that's what like all the like true science knows about it. And there is so much, like, when you see all the statistics, so much you have to think about. It's really really deep and complicated. And this is hard to include in the spiritual science. So, and I think this is why it's also like, if you know more about science, you can see it more in a critical way, because yeah. And I think this is why like scientists are often not convinced.
Yeah, I am looking forward to get psychiatrists and scientists who have this perspective also, because I had done this course about society and science and the scientific temperament to look at things, or how do you start from a hypothesis and how do you test it out, and how do you measure the results. So there are so many parameters you need to see to have the same environment. Maybe you need a bigger sample size, and exactly what you're looking to define, like how do you define happiness. I'm pretty sure they might have done it, but definitely there are a lot of research papers on Sudarshan Kriya, immediately like blood test and like physical symptoms being tested to see about the changes. We can check it out and search. But a question for you: you have studied and practiced psychology. Now come, now you have been using the spiritual techniques also. You have become a yoga teacher. From all your experience, what would you say to the scientific and sociology? From your experience, what would you tell the psychologist and the scientific community about spirituality?
Yes. I think the issue is that all these spiritual aspects and tools and effects, it's something that is very, very hard to understand from a logical perspective. And it's something you like, my opinion is you won't be able to 100% understand it from this logical approach. So you need to let go of it a bit, and also just open up for the experience itself. And there are some things in life that can't be described. They can only be felt. And especially their power. So I would tell them, like, if you have like a fruit and you want to say like this is an apple and you're not really sure, and you put all your focus on that, proving this fruit is an apple, and you lose so much energy to like include anything else, because you already, you have this narrow focus. um Let go of it. Like, maybe it's also a pear that just looks like an apple. You don't know, and it doesn't really matter. Like, broaden the perspective a bit, and allow for alternative things as well to be included, even without having the 100% proof.
Or simply said, just be open to new things.
Yes, exactly.
What were the biggest perspective changes or takeaways that you had after coming on this path?
Yes, I think just really strengthening the connection to myself, to my true self. Like, putting or shifting the attention that is like most of the time outside inwards, and finding out that the solutions to all the questions I have, that I will never find them outside, that I carry all of them within me. And um, that there's so many more important things than the mind is creating. Like, that, yeah, to be able to um separate myself from all the problems my mind is creating. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Um, I think it's, to be honest, the spiritual practices, they are like much, much more efficient because they go so deep. You go to a subconscious level as well. And you can create so powerful feelings, and so powerful, like, feelings of happy emotions you're not able to create with any external things. So yeah, I think it's incredibly powerful.
So now going back to your professional life, you can use both of these worlds, best of the both, and create your own techniques,
Exactly.
mix and match.
Because I'm not a fan of thinking either A or B. And also I feel like, especially when we talk about helping people, curing people with mental issues, challenges. And I mean, we live in a life, we all deal with that, right? It's nothing rare. It's like nearly, I think, everyone has any mental issues. It's like, it's a huge thing. So we need to see individually what works the best for the person, and then be flexible enough to combine both approaches, and make the best out of it.
Mental health is a big issue, buzzword on social media and everywhere. What are the biggest problem do you see with related to mental health?
Yes, I think, our world is moving so quickly, and we're stimulated by external things continuously. The first thing in the morning people do is going like on their phone, and then already you have this huge, like, dopamine being transmitted, and this is like the reason why, like, there's no ability to actually stimulate yourself just by being. You always need something in the outside to give yourself a feeling of, like, being happy or feeling engaged, like getting dopamine produced. So we actually, we forgot how to listen to our inner voice, to our inner guidance, that actually tells us what we really want, what we really need, where to go. So it's like we're lost in the world outside. And then we have expectations from parents or relatives, also from ourselves. There is so much pressure, but we don't have the tools to deal with that. And our nervous system is stimulated constantly. And we don't have the tools, or we don't even realize that, because this has become the normal. So our body is constantly in this fight or flight mode, like so many stress hormones are produced. And then you can see like so many people in their 20s, they already have a body like a 30 or 40 years old, because they are stressed so much. But this being stressed is their normal life. And the sleep is getting disturbed. The posture is disturbed. Like there's so much pain in the body and everything. And the whole system is out of balance. And then you can literally count the time until like depression or anxiety disorders come. Because, for example, anxiety, it's an overstimulation of your whole nervous system. So you reacting so much, and the thoughts, the way of like thoughts are like being there. It's like your brain is working on such high level. um and this is not healthy on a long term. And yes,
I like how you said anxiety is overstimulation. It is, if you look at it in a way.
I mean, not for everyone, like, but I feel like especially anxiety has become the new trendy mental.
And people wear it with a badge, I am anxious, I've got depression.
Yeah, yeah, of course. It's nothing rare. Like anxiety and in every direction. It's like how to, like, what should I do with my life? This is like, I think this is one thing, like what should I do? What do I want? There are so many possibilities, and at the same time I feel like people just get distracted in their phones, or like, they don't really have this motivation anymore, because the motivation gets lost in being all the time in the outside.
It's a very good point. This is what I have observed and this is what I feel. We are always comparing with the social media and what other people are doing. Hence, we get confused of what we want in life and we lose our own identity. Maybe he's happy, he looks happy doing that. Maybe we should do this. Or maybe he's getting more subscriber or more views, or people are appreciating what he's doing. Hence, I should try doing this. People are talking about Elon Musk going to Mars and doing space. Let me do something in that area. So, always this consistent thing of not being happy with what your skill set or where you are, and always constantly changing and going somewhere else. It's like the line paradox, right? You're standing in a long queue either for food or at a petrol pump, and you always feel this other line is shorter, and you go and join that line, and then you feel the other line is shorter, and you keep switching lines, but never reach the place where you want to go because you're always switching.
You lose your focus. You lose your goal. Your goal is actually just paying for your fruits or whatever, but you get lost in switching the lines and comparing the lines, and you lose so much energy in that. And then you lose trust in yourself, because all these comparisons, they lower our self-esteem, they decrease our self-esteem so much. And that's what I said, our focus is in the outside, and we forget what's already in there. And we forget that we have our own strength and individual path that can be incredible if we follow it. But we feel like this is not right, because maybe other people are not doing it or doing it differently. So
I really feel people who know what they want to do in life are quite blessed.
yes,
And it's interesting to come to hear it from you, somebody who's coming from other country, about life. Like, what should I do in life? Do you think this is a common issue even in Europe?
yes, definitely. Yes, because yeah, I think it's as you said, we have so many opportunities and possibilities, and especially so many distractions. So we lose our focus. It's like we try a bit of that and here and there, but we are not committed. Our mind is all over the place. And then we lose our energy, and we lose our focus, and we get lost. And it takes, I think, a lot of energy and effort to find your focus back. And I think this is especially because of all these competitive media.
Yeah. I had an issue with this. I struggled a lot with this, finding a meaning in life, finding purpose on what to do. And reading these books and following this path after being in Bangalore, couple of things, they just come up and I feel like wow about them. So one of them is purpose. When we think of purpose is doing something that will make me happy. Guruji said this, I think, just yesterday or today morning. But the other way to look at it is you can do that thing as an expression of joy. Like you are happy and you're doing it because you're happy. And couple of thoughts like you have made the right decision. What had to be done, you have been doing. And in future also, what is to be done, you'll still keep doing that.
Yeah, he said be happy for what you do and then do what makes you happy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
And it's also about choice, right? What choices? Somebody thinks if I choose one career path, I'll fail at something else, or a FOMO of not doing something else. A comparison, should I do this or that or that or that?
Yeah, that's also the trend of perfectionism. We always want to be everything to be perfect, and especially our own path. So I feel like we got so anxious about making wrong decisions. There is so much pressure of like choosing the wrong path, the wrong job, the wrong subject to study, that we create so much pressure for ourselves that we can't really connect to our intuitive guide that actually knows what we want. And then maybe, like, let's say you're super creative and you want to become an artist, and then everyone tells you no, like you won't earn money, and like 95% of your friends just become like engineers. And then of course you think, oh yeah, something's wrong with me, I should do the same.
Exactly.
And at the same time, it's like we build these conditions, like if I do this,
Then I'll be happy.
then I will be happy, then I will be successful. And then it's again, we lose ourselves in the outside. And that's what Guruji said, like start from the inside. Just create that feeling of happiness with whatever you do. And then you will be more relaxed. Then you will be more like in a stage of abundance. And if you feel abundant, you're not feel this craving like, oh, something need to happen in exactly that way so that I can be happy. And you're like, I already am happy. I have all I need. So now I can just see, and then you feel relaxed and you will know much better what you really want and what you are good at.
Again, this brings back me to the neurodivergent topic. We all are individuals. We have a different starting point. We have been raised differently in different areas, different impressions when growing up. How can we compare ourselves to anybody else in the world? We are always in a different paths, right? We are on our own paths. There's no point in comparing or thinking if that worked out for them, it would work out for me. It's about creating your own thing and in your own time zone, in your own timeline. It's like never too late.
Exactly. Comparison is the path to misery. Because you can be the best person in something and you will find someone who's doing it better, because it's not about the actual outcome, it's about your own perception, because we are masters in finding fault in our actions. So we will for sure find for something that someone is doing better, because that's what we are looking for. It's like we're wearing glasses that see that are looking for that. So we need to put off the glasses. Otherwise, yeah.
And another thing about happiness, what I've come to lately realize is happiness is more about the energy levels and the skill and how you manage the energy levels. Like feeling joyful. Happiness for me is like having a high prana and being lively and doing things and saying okay to things and not being too much in the mind, like being centered, not being too distracted with anxieties or fears, and also not regretting something, and just having that energy level to like go ahead and do it, let's do it, or whatever you are, we're just happy with what acceptance level, and your mind is not buzzing, it's like relaxed. I think that's happiness for me, and I realize that it works with the energy levels. And if you look at the different ways of keeping the energy level high, like the food or getting good sleep or meditating or yeah, things like that, or even running, like increasing your heart rate and running, that also changes the perspective. And I have been feeling really happy because of just by focusing on these things, and of course the knowledge about wants and desires.
Yeah, I mean, it's all like about your own definition about happiness, right? Like maybe for someone is I'm happy when I'm just healthy, and another person says, yes, I need this job and a perfect partner and like a house at the sea with like 24,000 rooms, and then I will be happy. So it's like make your own definition of happiness simple and you will be happy.
And the difficult part is how to be happy without any desires.
Yes, that's the way. I think it's an infinite way, because we are human beings and we have desires, and it's okay to have desires, but like don't be controlled by your desires, and that's the challenge, but it's definitely possible too.
Yeah, especially in this path and with all the practices we are doing in art of living, I feel more confident about being able to deal with that.
Yes, right? Because I think it's you in the spiritual practices you experience a feeling of so much joy and happiness that you can't really perceive with any external fulfilled desires. So then you start wanting more of that. So you meditate more and you change your focus.
What have been some of the wow moments for you in India?
Yes, I think feeling so light and just so happy with nothing, like just in this, being in the sangha, dancing, singing, like for example in satsang, just forgetting about everything. And I always describe it like from me becoming us, becoming one, losing this feeling of separation, and yeah, losing your ego, everything, just feeling free. This is amazing.
There's another interesting thing that I observed. Even though you're from Germany or people from Japan or anywhere in the world, we all tend to listen to music which is made out of US. Why is that so? I mean, they have become so powerful, such a powerful soft power.
I don't know. I really don't know.
But isn't that? Don't you think so?
Yes, yes. Maybe because it's just good music, good artists.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This is a question for the audience. I was thinking of doing a separate podcast or more episodes about psychology and spirituality with Celine. Would you like to have that? Would you like to have that? So you could
Yes.
think about it.
If you feel interested, I'll have to. For sure.
Definitely. Thank you so much for being our guest. It was lovely to talk to you.
Thank you too. It was beautiful. And thank you everyone listening. You're amazing, and follow this path. Just stay on it.
Thank you for watching this podcast till the end. Please let us know in the comments what more topics and guests would you like to see in future episodes.